In 1968, over the jungles of Vietnam, a slow, awkward-looking observation plane did something it was never supposed to do. It turned towards a North Vietnamese fighter jet and shot it down. Not an Air Force jet, not a Navy fighter, an Army airplane. And the strangest part? They tried to keep it a secret. I'm Bill, and this is Buffalo Air Park. Let's dive in. While visiting the MAPS Air Museum in North Canton, Ohio, I came across an aircraft that looks, well, a little unusual. A bulging canopy, 3 vertical tails, an engine sitting on top of the wings. This is the story of the Grumman OV-1 Mohawk, a plane so strange, so capable, and so politically inconvenient that even its greatest achievement had to be hidden. At first glance, the Mohawk doesn't look like a combat aircraft. It looks like a compromise. The cockpit sits up front in a wide, bug-eyed canopy, giving the crew incredible visibility. The engines are mounted high on the wings, twin turboprops designed for reliability and short-field performance. And then there's the tail. Not 1, not 2, but 3 vertical stabilizers. That wasn't for style. Those engines produce so much torque that a single tail would have had to be enormous, so Grumman split it into 3 to keep the aircraft stable, especially at low speeds. This wasn't designed to win dogfights. It was designed to see everything. The Mohawk could operate from short, rough airstrips, flying low over the battlefield in support of U.S. Army forces. Its mission? Reconnaissance, artillery spotting, target tracking, and battlefield surveillance. And it did all of that with technology that was way ahead of its time. The Mohawk carried side-looking airborne radar, SLAR, which could scan terrain through clouds, darkness, and even jungle canopy. It could detect movement, map terrain, and identify targets without ever being seen. It also carried infrared systems capable of picking up heat signatures from engines, campfires, even recently used equipment. To the enemy below, it earned a nickname, Whispering Death. This aircraft wasn't fast, but it was tough. The cockpit was armored. The glass was bullet resistant. The floor was reinforced. Pilots didn't say they flew the Mohawk. They said they wore it. And because of those massive propellers sitting right beside the cockpit, it became the first U.S. Army aircraft designed with ejection seats, because without them, getting out alive wasn't an option. And then, there was the problem no one wanted to talk about. The Mohawk wasn't just observing, it could fight. But according to agreements like the Key West Agreement, fixed-wing combat aircraft belong to the United States Air Force, not the Army. So officially, the Mohawk was unarmed. Unofficially, rocket pods, machine guns, self-defense. In February 1968, over South Vietnam, Army Captain Ken Lee was flying his Mohawk when a North Vietnamese MiG-17 dropped in behind him. A fighter jet versus a slow turboprop observation plane. The MiG pilot slowed down to line up the shot. That was the mistake. Lee turned towards the attack, fired rockets, then opened up with machine guns. The MiG was hit fatally and disappeared into the clouds. It was the only air-to-air kill by a U.S. Army aviator during the Vietnam War. And instead of celebrating, they buried it, because if the Air Force found out that an Army aircraft, one that wasn't supposed to be armed, had shot down a MiG, there was a real risk the Mohawk program would be shut down. So the story stayed quiet. Even when legendary Air Force ace Robin Olds confirmed the incident, he left it at that. We know things you guys don't, and will never find out. The aircraft on display at the MAPS Air Museum, serial number 6313128, flew in Vietnam with the 131st Aviation Company. It was damaged by ground fire, rebuilt, transferred to the Navy, and eventually ended up here, preserved as a reminder of a very different kind of war. A war where seeing the enemy mattered just as much as fighting them. The OV-1 Mohawk was never the fastest aircraft in the sky. It wasn't the most famous, and it definitely wasn't the best looking, but it was one of the most capable, and one of the most quietly important. A bug-eyed, triple-tailed radar-equipped spy plane that once turned the tables on a fighter jet, and almost no one was supposed to know. And that wraps up another tale from aviation's stranger side. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.